Hello! Welcome to Gen Z Meets World podcast.
I'm Aisha.
I'm Ahmed, and since we're reaching the end of the year of 2021, we thought that we will talk about reflect on the past year that we've went through.
This year
that we've been going through for nearly 365 days by now, and think of like all the things that have happened and things that we've done and things that happen in general throughout the year. So how is your year?
How was your year?
Okay, I haven't really thought that through. Well, I would say it is quite a good year actually. I must say. A lot of good things happened. If I were to compare with other years, I think there could be years which I could say are better, because there's are like super good ones. But then at the same time, this one was like there's still a lot of good things that happened, which kind of beat that thing that happened in the other years.
Like the good things in this year is better than the good things in other years.
Yeah.
Okay.
But like at the same time, there are some things, it's So but it was in general, it was a good year. I started off quite, I won't say bad exactly, but then like I was taking my exams in February, late February and early March. So
your school exams.
Yeah. The end of school exam thing. So that I did not study a lot before that.
You didn't study well.
Yeah. So I procrastinated a lot most of the time when I was supposed to study. And so when I did need to take the exam in taking from January, and then the next month I'll be taking my exam, I kind of like panicked and just tried to go through. It was a lot of panic, and honestly at this point I'm quite surprised how I could do that much by that point. But you could do a lot of things when you're panic.
When you're desperate.
Yes. Yeah. So yeah, I guess but then after that, I think I did rather well, especially for having not done a lot before. I think it was like decently well.
The exam,
during the exam.
Yeah, right.
And so after that, things kind of went quite well.
Cool. Yeah. What's the goodish thing though?
Oh, like there's try to get rid of old habits and there's
turning new leaf kind of
thing.
So like your attempts in turning new leaves,
turning into a new leaf, turning over a new leaf.
Your leaf turning attempts are decently good.
Yes.
So, I always think that it's interesting to reflect on the year, because I can't remember how long I've done it, but I've done it for I think when I was 9, I have been doing it. I would always reflect on the year and see where how I always journal, so I would revisit my old journals, not read them methodically, but go through them and see the state of mind I was in, and the things I've done, the things I wanted to achieve, and just to see how different, how fast time flies, because for me it is a good thing to note, because often, if you're comparing, we often feel like things are not good enough, or you haven't reached. I am always upset with how much I haven't done. That's constantly the thing that I'm bothered by, every day. I'm bothered by the things I haven't done, instead of looking into the things that I have done, and even if I look into the things that I have done, I'm it's not enough, So reflecting on the year for me can sometimes help me see how far I've gone, and to just try to be thankful, because the thing is, when I reflect on the year, I feel like it helps me be more thankful, grateful. Yeah, it teaches me gratitude, So it's it makes you less frustrated. even if it's not on my own self, like, like the things that I do, just the things that happens in general. Like, let's see, for example, we can think of COVID, this year. Like, the one of the things I often see on the social media is that, people would often say like, oh, 2019 is so bad,
Yeah.
like it treated me so bad. Like, years don't have but anyway, so it's like 2019 treated me so bad, and like, hopefully 2020 is better. And then they go through to 2020 and they're like, 2020 is also bad, hope 2021 is better. Like, I like to first of all focus on the things that is good. To compare a better is like, because it's hard for you to compare. I feel like if you were to compare, you'd always be upset with something.
I mean, if you're trying to look at from that aspect, back in like, let's say 2016, for example, they also did like, 2015 was bad, hopefully 2016 would be better, and it kind of just goes on. It's like,
I mean, I can't remember if I did that when I was younger. I might have,
I
can't remember, to be
definitely
honest.
did around 2013, around that
time.
I'm not sure if it's 2013 or
Like, just
but
around
then just
then,
around that, maybe like from 2010 to
what
2015.
was like the perspective?
Well, back then I had a lot. It was like the time when I rated a lot of things. So like, my favorite age that I've been through. So like, this was the era that I enjoyed the most, sort of.
Right.
So that was like, and then when I was, especially about relating to the age, so like, going through a new year, and I start to like comparing the years, and like, okay, this year that I've been through was
like
not
cool.
Was not cool.
But
the next one is probably better. And then by the time we reached the next year, it was like, this was not cool. Last year was good, even though I just said before that, like a year before that year was not good. So it's there's that.
I mean, because often
the grass is always greener on the other side.
Yeah, one, two, because I feel like, oftentimes when you're facing something, it always feels a lot harder. Like, if you were to imagine a problem that you're not facing, sometimes you can imagine it to be, harder for you. But then because what you're facing right now is obviously you're facing it. You feel like there's no end to the tunnel, like open end, dead end. I mean, but you don't feel like there's an open end on the other side of the tunnel. So like, tunnel have to be an open end. Obviously, it can't be a dead end because it's a cave.
I mean, in a way, it could be a dead end if you block it.
Yeah, but it won't be a tunnel.
But it was. I mean, if you went to a train tunnel, if you put a roadblock over there, it's technically a dead end. But then it's
technically a tunnel.
Yeah, it's technically a tunnel still.
Okay, but open end. I think the saying is like just the end of the tunnel, because usually tunnels will be open ended. So when you're facing something like going through a very difficult phase, it often feels like there's no end to the tunnel. So being how do I say it, and like the good things often feels very good at that moment, but you don't have good times all the time. So that's life.
You always kind of like just remember the old good times, and so automatically you will feel like before this was better than now.
And like, it's often easy for you to over imagine the goodness of a good time. I
mean, I rarely, in the first place, rarely do you kind of like have the good day, and then the day is good, and you think like this day is better than not. Sometimes you do. I mean, taking for example, yesterday I was like, this is such a great day. I feel like it was probably the greatest day in the entire year. But then not all the time. I mean, I could recall a few good days that happened this year, where I kind of just went through the day, just I did enjoy it, but then I did not really think
that it was
how
a
great
good day.
it was comparing to the times, this
Yeah.
rougher times,
Yeah.
and then think back only when I'm having a rough time that was such a good day.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
and on a larger scale, you would have that on years, and sort of like
Yep.
compare only.
Yeah. I mean, I guess sometimes though I do the opposite of like, it's such a bad year, hopefully the next year is better. Where sometimes I go like, this year is so good, next year is definitely going to be horrendous. I'm often having that. Like
Yeah.
when our grandfather passed away, it was like, like, it was sad that our grandfather passed away, but because we had such a good time with him,
Yes.
and throughout the year, because he passed away in like September,
Mm.
so we've had like most of the year, spending our time with him. We went to lots of places with him, and all that, like had a very good time with him. And we've never had that. I mean, literally we've never had that, because before this we would have both our grandmother and our grandfather.
Yeah.
Not saying our grandmother is bad, we're just saying that we had a good time with our grandfather alone
Yeah.
that year. Nothing to do with our grandmother,
Yeah.
and it was such a good time with our grandfather, and it was such a good experience, So when after he passed away, and we've gone through all that process of him passing away and stuff, I thought like, this was like a good year, a good time. I didn't think of it as a year, a good time. And like, there were a few other things that happened that year that was really nice.
I cannot recall
I
exactly.
went camping.
Yes, I
Yeah.
remember that now.
So it was such a good year, for me. Like, I felt like it was so good that I remember thinking then, like man, bad things are gonna happen next. It's gonna be bad.
What's the next year?
The next year was 2017. 2017 was
It was
fine.
fine, yes,
Yeah,
fine.
it was nothing extraordinary, I'd say,
Yeah.
but it was cool.
It was actually quite.
I mean, it was.
I mean,
it was nice.
the especially like
There's always good things to think about every
yeah,
year.
yeah.
You know?
I think 2017 was like the year we kind of spent the entire year in Johor, basically.
Yeah,
wasn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, almost. Yeah.
Yeah. So
I mean, there's always something during that year that you face it. There's always so much difficulties, and you're often like even us. When we're saying you, it's like not like you.
Yeah, yeah.
It's like we often. If you have a negative perception, and if you focus on the negative parts of it, it's often that we'd feel it's a bad year, it's so hard, but when you reflect on it, it isn't so bad.
Yeah.
And amongst the reasons why is because you are already detached from that negative experience, so when you look at it on hindsight, the things you're facing, like not like the things you were facing weren't as bad maybe, but like there were lots of good things
Yeah.
in them. Like sometimes we focus so much on the negative, we forget about the positive,
Yes,
like the silver
exactly.
linings.
So that's probably. I mean, even when you're trying to look back at a past year, you don't really look at the bad things of that past year that you're
Yeah.
seeing is good.
Yeah.
Because if you were to look there, I mean, I'm pretty sure a year cannot be like 100% just good things.
Bad or good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it has to be like a mix of
Yeah.
them.
And also some normalcy.
Yeah, normal. Yeah, you there will be some
Yeah.
days which are just
Just life.
Yeah, just
but
life.
sometimes those are good
yeah,
days,
that, exactly.
Yeah.
So but you overlook those.
Yeah.
Those normal days.
After our father passed away, one of my like not like immediately after our father passed away, I noticed it, but then I think like a month after that, remember that day when we decided to clean our father's car
Yeah.
and clean the shoe racks?
Yeah.
I realized that one of my nicest memories, like the things I cherish the most, are the days when, like, we call them our weekends.
Yeah.
Where first, early in the morning, we'd wake up to go to the farmer's market and the fish market, which we hated when we were younger. We hated the fish market. I don't know why you hated it. I hated it because
they're dirty.
I mean, yes, but then I get overwhelmed by the smell of fish. Even
I don't really
even
mind the
now,
smell of
I get
fish.
overwhelmed by the smell of fish.
I can, but then to a certain point, I don't really mind. There are certain smells of fish which I kind of
Yeah.
like.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, there are smells of fish which I don't exactly like, but then there are some of them which I like. This is nice.
Cool. I never.
Like not exactly something that I would put as
Yeah.
an air freshener.
Yeah.
But then
Yeah, it's
I
like,
do
oh, nice
kind of
smell.
like
Yeah.
that's a nice smell.
Yeah.
So I just do not like the wet floor
Mm.
and how my feet will end up getting wet
Yeah.
after a while.
Yeah. Plus, when
And
you're wearing socks and the socks get soggy.
I don't wear the socks, so
Cool.
yeah. So
But yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, so like, then we didn't like it that much when we were younger. Not
Yeah.
like, when we were older, we learned
Yeah,
to,
when I was
it's like
older,
life.
I quite enjoyed it because first of all, we get ice cream because we buy ice cream there.
Yeah. No, we didn't buy them. The
Yeah, I get
the fish market
guy.
fishmonger. Well, it's fish sellers or fishmongers, aren't they?
I think.
Fishmonger. Yeah. So the fishmonger is a nice guy.
Yeah.
He passed away. Was
Yeah.
a nice guy. I mean, saying was sometimes makes you feel like he's no longer a good guy, but it's like he passed away.
Yeah.
So like he was a very nice guy, and he gives free ice creams to kids. And
There's
even
technically
though
iced
we were
lolly,
no,
isn't it? Technically, by
anyway,
yeah.
even though we were no longer kids then, we are because he remembers us ever since we were so small. So he's like, just take the ice creams. So, yeah.
And he always gives like 1 ringgit to us.
So like he used to give them to every child because he wants to encourage like children who
help
their
their
parents
at the market.
But since we have been there since like who knows when, he's like, you can have one, it's okay. And we were technically still not adults, we're teenagers. Just that usually he only gives them to kids.
Like small kids.
Yeah. But anyway, so we didn't really like them when we were younger. We were like, when we were older, we kind of like liked it. But then when we were younger, we didn't really like it, And then after we go to the fish market and the farmer's market, we come back home, we clean the fishes and the vegetables. Or some days, our father would be like cleaning the car and cleaning the balcony, cleaning the foyer. And so, we'd all like do that with him, rearrange the shoe rack. So after he passed away, and there was like a month after he passed away, and we decided one day to do it. We call it like still a weekend day. It felt so nice, and you realize that this very mundane activity
we
that
actually
you
should do that soon because the car's not exactly clean at the moment, so we probably should clean the car.
This mundane activity that we did when we were younger, that was like so average kind of, it's like not like going extreme sports or a vacation or anything. It's like one of the most cherished moments. Like it feels so nice. Like sometimes these little things are like the things that, and it reflects onto a year. Like even if that year seems very ordinary, let's take 2018, the day our father passed away. It was like, our father passed away June, so most of the year was not cool because, it wasn't a cool feeling. But in the middle of that, there were lots of good things. The time before our father passed away, those are one of the last few moments we spent with our father, and we really spent them with our father. Like, our father was there. Even though our father was going outstation, we went along with him. Or even when we didn't go along with him, we are constantly, like messaging or video calling. Like there's lots of even in the normal, the mundane.
Yeah, mundane.
In the mundane, just mundane, not mundaneness, mundanity.
Oh, right, you're talking about that. Let's just go with mundanity, whether or not there's this one.
Even the mundanity of it, there's actually lots of sprinklings of, really nice stuff. And even after our father passed away, the time we spent together, like I said in the previous episode, like that unifying moment when we realized that, of course, we have Allah and but like we realized that we really have each other.
Yeah.
Like even when we feel alone, as in socially, humanly alone, we have each other, and we have like the very close good friends who are like they go through, what do you call it, thick or thin, you really realize that year. And it's nice in some ways,
because previously we kind of like taking for granted what we have, but then when you lose that, we start to like and then after that we start to realize that these friends are like there for us,
and like us, we're together,
so that was I the thing that I really liked the most about 2018 was
2018 was when, I'm so sorry, in the middle of doom and our father passed away and all that, our elder sister took her A-levels. I got to visit Wisma Sejarah.
Yes.
Because A-levels was held there.
It's the
The
history.
Persatuan Sejarah Malaysia.
Yeah, History Society.
Malaysian History Society headquarters.
Headquarters, yeah.
Yeah.
It's WISMA. I just realized I've never exactly knew what the translation of WISMA is.
So it's I'm sorry, what was I? Oh yeah, I get to visit
Yeah.
Sejarah, which I've wanted to visit for so long, because they had, first of all, just because it's like the biggest, highest place for history society, which, you know, I've been a very big fan of history. And then I also got to visit Tan Sri Omar Muhammad Hashim.
Meet, not exactly visit.
I'm sorry, it's a visit. I'm sorry. I got to meet Tan Sri Omar Muhammad Hashim, Allah Yarham Tan Sri Omar Muhammad Hashim, who I really respect his work. Then mostly I respected his work. Now I just look up to. I'm disappointed that I didn't know the extent of his worldview, mentality, sacrifice, the things he's done, you know, that I wish I knew more, so that then I could have really appreciated this moment. But I got to visit him, you know, and it happened on that year. The thing is, I mean, every year is just a compilation of days.
Yes.
You know? And there's often good days and bad days. It's just that we cluster these days, and perhaps they happen to be a bunch of better days or worse days. But in the end, every day there's a good and bad.
It's like,
and every year there's a good and
it's
bad.
like, you know, taking an average of humans.
Yeah.
You will have like a cluster. Perhaps if you in certain clusters of human, if you just randomly select, there will be like, you know, high percentage of you know, good people and bad people, or like not too good people, you know. There will be like,
and like good and bad is still like depending on which
Yeah.
aspect you want to look at, you know.
So
Are you
it's
looking
like
at brains,
there's like
bronze, health?
a lot of what do you call that?
Demographical.
I'm thinking of this
divisions.
Venn diagram.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, so like in certain ways things can
overlap
and and like, you know, they have that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes,
So
yes.
there's all of those.
collective goodness or
Yeah.
collective badness.
So yeah. There's a lot of that.
And to be honest, for me, I feel like it's, I'm not sure if I want to say more important, but definitely important. And I feel like people look into less, at least from what I've seen, you know, the other aspect of reflecting on a year, not just on whether that year was good to you or bad to you, you know, like years can treat you anyway.
Yeah.
It's you who treat the year. But, you know, like literally, like how you treated yourself that year, you know, like what have you done? Like when you reflect on the year, you reflect on what have you done throughout the year. What were the things you wanted to achieve in the early on in the year that you have done now or you haven't done now, you know, to learn to reflect on yourself and be mindful, you know. Like I feel like if you were to look into your year and try to look at the silver linings of the badness, you know, despite the odds, what are the good things, that teaches you gratitude, you know, and to be grateful for what you do have, because you have a lot, we have a lot. In spite of anything, we have a lot, you know. We have oxygen, you know. There's so many things you're not thinking about.
Water, food, access to internet, which I'm very sure you have.
Yeah. But you know, intellect.
Yes.
Like, just there's so many things to be grateful of, and I think gratitude would really help with. First of all, gratitude is just a positive thing to do, to have. But another is that gratitude can help you live life, I feel like, you know, increase the quality of your life. Like stress-wise, you can lessen your stress. Work-wise, you can increase the quality of your work. Study-wise, you can focus on your studies better, you know, if you were to be grateful of things. And then to be mindful, and then if you were to reflect on the year and looking at what you've done, what have you not done, you know, then you can learn to be mindful of your actions, which is always a good thing.
Yeah.
Which, speaking of being mindful and being, you know, looking back on your year, what are the things that you've done that you think you're proud of?
This year.
Yeah. I mean, there's so many years we're talking about this year.
Yeah. So I think among the things that I'm really proud of was, first of all, how I managed to
keep on turning new leaves?
Definitely so.
Okay,
but like
okay, I'm sorry.
that's kind of like something that
Alright.
happens every year. But
Yes.
I'm also grateful of the things that did happen this year, because if it didn't, that
Yeah.
would be the first year that I don't
Turn leaves.
Yeah.
I mean, some years I feel like I do not turn enough leaves.
yeah. But like at least you turn
At least you
leaves.
turn some leaves.
Yeah.
It's good for you to try to be mindful
Yeah,
and be
of
aware
how
of how many
many
leaves
leaves
you
you
can
turn.
actually turn.
Ye-
It doesn't matter how many
Yes.
leaves you turn,
You
know,
can,
but how much you can turn.
Yeah.
And why is it that perhaps some years you can't turn as many leaves? Perhaps because the leaf was bigger and harder for you to turn,
Yeah.
you know? So,
So the one that's at the top of my head, especially right now, is when I took my exams, I managed to
do it decently,
decently.
to what you were facing.
yeah. So because I mean, by that point, there was like a strong urge to just do
Give
other
up.
things, because
Give up. The words give up.
yeah,
Yep.
and like do other things after
Yeah.
that, or like even while still trying to just do other things at the same time.
It's giving up. You give up on the idea that you
Yeah,
can
give
do
it on
it,
the
you
idea
know?
that
Yeah.
So but I didn't.
Mm-hmm.
So that's one.
That's cool.
And then there's also like I mean I write weekly on the newspaper, on the local
Mhm.
newspaper.
You start this year?
No, I started last year.
Okay, never
But
mind.
like this year is the first year that
You've done it for a
at-
full year.
a full year
Nice.
until as of now at least,
Yeah.
which is almost the end of the year.
Yeah.
So
Except
and
when
managed-
sometimes that you can't get your writing published because it's a holiday,
holiday
or
or
something.
yeah. So but then when I have to, I manage to reach the
Yeah.
I never exceed, like, the article is like published on Saturday. Usually they would work on working on the article on Thursday.
Okay.
I never send it
Send
after
the
Wednesday. Send the
article.
article after Wednesday.
The deadline of when you should be submitting your article
It's
is
supposed to be Thursday anyway, because
but you always send it earlier
Yeah.
than Wednesday.
so yeah.
Yeah.
So it will always be either the
So you-
latest is Wednesday
Right.
morning, not
Right.
even Wednesday like evening or
Right,
something. It's
right.
always it's usually Wednesday morning, because I finish editing and such
Right.
like 1 a.m.
Tuesday.
on Wednesday, because
Oh,
like,
right.
Yeah.
1 a.m. Wednesday.
yeah.
Okay, I get it.
So it's like the
Okay.
Tuesday night
Yes,
basically.
yes.
So that's something that I'm
Proud
happy
of.
with and proud of. So, and then there's also like I just thought of it just now, but then I
Forgotten.
forgot already. But it's alright. Even if I don't have that, I'm still grateful with this.
Yeah.
So that was because honestly, the one of the biggest fear right now is that I do not get to finish writing in time.
Mm-hmm.
And even though whenever I reach Wednesday, it's always like I'm always like scared, because I
Yeah.
could just miss it.
Yeah.
But then at the same time,
You haven't.
yeah, I haven't, and so that
Yeah. I mean that for for me, perhaps it may not be as hard. Though I doubt writing an article weekly is not hard, especially for me, because I really need inspiration to
Yeah.
write. But like
the problem usually is inspiration.
No, the issue for you, I feel like the hardest part is that you so naturally procrastinate.
yeah,
You naturally take things so lightly, that you accidentally procrastinate.
yeah.
Yeah.
But then at the same time, there's also like that problem, because once it reaches weekly, you're kind of like out of things to
Yeah.
to like
Yeah, but there's also like the self-control,
yes,
when
that's,
you like
that's another issue. So yeah, that's also part.
Yeah. I feel
yeah.
like the biggest part, like
yeah.
for me, why it's so great for you, the biggest part of it
Yeah.
is the self-control.
Yes.
To make it done. Yeah. Things that I'm proud of this year. I'll be honest, I haven't reflected on that part, which is not cool, because I feel like that's always what I do. I'm always thinking of the things that I didn't do enough until I open my journal.
My problem is that I always don't think of the things I don't do enough, which means
You
that I
always,
do not.
you're just always proud of yourself.
Yes, so I do not realize the things that I do not do enough until like usually it will be like after the new year has come, and like maybe by
you
the
didn't
time
do
it's
that
February,
enough.
so yeah, that's exactly what happened with my exam. So like only after like by January do I realize that, oh wait, the entire year, I mean, not to say I didn't
Yeah.
study at all,
Yeah.
but like if you were to say like by percentage, probably just 20% of the year I was
Yeah.
studying.
Okay.
And that's like even in 20%, perhaps like they all consist of just one full day of studying, which means that's not many days of studying, basically.
Yes.
I mean, there were a lot of days
Yes.
kind of half and half, but then
Yeah.
kind of feels like that.
I feel like like until I open my journal, I guess that's a positive thing about, I don't just journal about good things, I journal about everything basically, but then when you open your journal, you can kind of revisit your state of mind. And I think until I open my journal do I realize that, you know what, I have done these things too. I mean, I've been very pressed for, I don't know, 2 years, 3 years. I've been pressed about how many things I haven't done enough. And I've been frustrated about, like, there were these bunch of years which I feel like I didn't spend properly. Like, as in I didn't spend my time properly. Not like I didn't spend the year properly, It just happened to be in this bunch of years. So there was this time period when I didn't spend my time properly. And I feel like I've lost so many opportunities because of that. And I haven't done enough. And now, like, if I were to... I don't know how to say this without sounding weird. But, like if I were to die, I cannot find much things to be proud of, you know? But then when... sometimes something happens and you reflect on it and you're like, hold a second, you did do that, like, that's cool. Like,
when I was thinking about talking this, I was like, well, first of all, it didn't really occur to me what did I there is that point where I was like, there's not much things that I was able to come up with. But eventually I did realize, like, wait, I did do this and that. And then eventually I start to realize that those did happen. So at least you're grateful with that. You should feel grateful that at least you did that.
Yeah, even though if you feel like you haven't done enough, and it's cool to be aware of what you haven't done enough and try to proceed with doing them. At least what you've done, like, to not be liberal with yourself, but at the same time to not be too hard on yourself. To not be hard on yourself on the fact that you haven't done them, but instead to see them as reasons to push you further.
Further.
I mean, I feel like we can be proud that we did the podcast. We started the podcast, because the biggest hindrance for me is that I am so afraid of talking my thoughts out. I don't know how to phrase it, but like, I do not like doing that. And I feel awkward on camera or in front of people. And sometimes I feel like, what do I have to say? Like, what makes me feel like what we're talking about is broadcastable to people? Is it share worthy? Is it really cool? Do you really want to hear this? Is this worthy a slot on like YouTube? Like, it just like really hinders you. But then at the end of the day, I thought, like, we just want to have a conversation. Like, there's so many things that I wish people talk about. We can talk about them and hope that we can strike a conversation. Like, So I guess I'm proud that I took the leap. I took the step and the leap. Mix those two words together and do that. So yeah.
I mean, I think it's specifically about the podcast. There's so many things that you kind of have to like sacrifice to do.
A lot.
So that specifically time, because there's not much other things that you will need to.
That's a lot.
That's a lot.
That's a lot.
But then the main thing is time, and like time is very.
But you spend time on anything, and
exactly. So there's that, which is something that you should be grateful
that you spend the time on these things.
Yes. So that's something that I'm sorry, I forgot to put a preamble first. Going back to what we were talking about being grateful, that is something that I myself always look through.
Look forward.
No.
Look.
Terlepas pandang. Don't think of, like, it doesn't cross my mind.
It slips your mind.
Slips my mind. Yes, that's the thing. So it always slips my mind that I should be grateful of the time I spend. And the time I spend wisely. I mean, I should not be grateful of the time I don't spend wisely. I should be grateful that I learn from the times that I don't spend wisely to spend time wisely. But then if I do not learn from it, then
That's what I still haven't learned. To learn to accept the fact that you have already wasted those time. There's no use wasting these times
thinking about
mulling about how I did not spend those times wisely, and instead think about how to spend my future time wisely.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I guess like that's a thing to be proud of.
I mean, there was one time that I was like frustrated because I did not spend my time wisely, and I was like so frustrated that I kind of like just plopped on my bed and fell asleep. And I was wasting more of my time there thinking about I was wasting my time. So that's
it's good for you to notice the things you wish you did better, but you should also
and it's good to wish to be better.
Yeah, every day.
Yeah.
But it's also true that you should also look at the things that you are proud of and to be grateful that you have the opportunity to do all those things. Not just like to be proud of yourself, but to also to be aware that you are there because of the opportunities you have, even because of oxygen.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, not like for you to look at. I mean, there's nothing wrong with looking at everything that you have and be grateful for all of them. That's a good thing. Like, because there's so many things that we're not aware.
I mean, just random thing that's in my head. I'm grateful that I have this shirt because this is like one of my favorite shirt. I'm grateful that we went on to the grocery supermarket on that day because that was when we got this shirt because it was on sale.
Yeah.
And I'm grateful that you had the sale.
Yeah.
But there's so many things that you could be grateful of.
Yeah.
I mean, this honestly is one of my favorite shirts.
And it happened to be a sale on that day.
Yeah, and
we happened to go to the supermarket on that day.
It's not that like on that day I was like, oh, this shirt is super good. I'm going to like this shirt. Yeah. I'm just it's just.
It was a shirt
I didn't even decide on this shirt. There was like, our parents bought it and like as it's a good shirt to wear. Additional shirt and I'm like. Okay.
A shirt.
Yeah. So when I wore it, it was like the first few times that I wore it, I wasn't really even like
processing the goodness of the shirt.
But then eventually, I just somehow found that it was really nice. So yeah.
It glues on you. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, to be grateful. Yeah, I mean, because sometimes we're too focused on the proud or too focused on the wish you did better. The over criticizing of yourself, and that you're not like balancing the two, right? First of all, in looking into years, sometimes you're looking too much into the things that happen instead of the things that you let happen or you made happen or you can control yourself, what you did.
Yeah.
And then B, in looking at what you did, sometimes you look too much into the things you're proud of that you are not aware of the things that you could have actually done better to move on, or sometimes you look too much into the things you wish you did better that you were not aware that there were things that you can be proud of.
Yeah, and then you can't move on because you're too
stuck on it. Yeah, you need that balance. Like life is about balance. In everything needs to be balanced. Even in being proud, you should not be too proud.
Yeah,
because and you should actually be aware that it's not all just you. Sometimes it's also others. Like in looking through the year, you should not just look at the others. You should also look at yourself. And then in looking through the proud, you should not just look at you. You should also look at the others.
Yeah, because be grateful that the other people are doing that as well.
Yeah.
And I mean, back about life is balanced. The thing is that life is balanced. It's we who need to keep it balanced and not unbalance it. Because life in default is balanced.
Life in default is balanced. Yes, it's about keeping that balance.
Yeah,
both physically and mentally. Like worldview, perception, emotions. That's like mentally. Yeah. Which can arguably be physically, perhaps, but also mentally. Yeah.
I always don't know what I know, but then it's hard to in certain things it's hard to put the dividing line of when it is physical and not physical.
Because in the end, they're related.
Yes, exactly.
I like to see any of these things as a spectrum.
Yes.
So, can you actually be at the absolute end of one instead of being perhaps 1% into the spectrum, and technically, no, sorry, 99%. So it can technically be 99% physical, but 1% mental still.
Yeah.
You know?
So there's
Similarly with good and bad.
yes.
You know?
Yes. So back to like, rating the year as how I did before. You would have like those, first of all, the years.
Yeah.
The year that you feel is good or bad.
Okay.
That will be divided, and then separate the years into months, or let's just go
Okay.
to days
Right.
for simplicity. Even in the day, there's like good and bad,
Mhm.
and like there's a certain percentage of
Yeah.
each,
Yeah.
and then going through like even to the smallest of minutes.
Or seconds. I mean, seconds is
Seconds is
a
a
bit.
bit hard.
But even seconds,
Yeah,
technically,
it's true.
you know? There's always a balance in the good and the
Like
bad.
when we enjoying a moment, where you're living a moment,
Yeah.
you will always have like, you will not have like ultimate. Perhaps you could argue that, perhaps you could say that you have like that would be the best moment that you're having, but then at the same time,
It's still not absolute good. Yeah.
because you do still have certain things that
Yeah.
that
At
Right.
the very least, even if you're having a good time, some other people are not having a good
Yeah.
time. Is that really a good time for you?
yeah.
Perhaps.
The fact that you're not thinking about the people.
Is
who are
that
not-
good?
Yeah.
You know?
So that's like that's
To be honest, one of the things that I'm always thinking of when I'm having a good day, I mean, some days I'm just having a good time. I'm oblivious to stuff, you know. But then there are days when I'm like, I feel guilty for having good days, knowing that there are people out there who are struggling on stuff, you know. But at the same time, that's life, you know. Like that's the good, that's the bad, that's the everything in between. So yeah, I think it's cool to be thankful and aware of the privilege we have despite the odds,
Yeah.
you know. How do you end your year usually? You have no clue.
Yes, last year, hold on. I
Hold a second. What's the significance of like having an end of year thing? Because if we were to look around, there's like Forbes 30 under 30 list, you know, like all of these I don't know, awards, the best things of the year, you know, like closing off like the best of the year. What is the impact of having an end of year thing? Of course, for big companies, it's half advertising.
yeah.
But you know,
For me, when I'm having that, often it's like, at least like towards when I was smaller, it was just this
Younger.
event.
Yeah.
It's kind of like holiday.
Yeah.
It's just something to be excited of.
yeah,
But like the more recent years, it is to like sort of like reflect and be grateful of the things that happened. So you want to, as like celebrating the things that you did well, the things that you did good, the things that you're proud of
yeah,
on that year,
yeah.
and so you're commemorating that with this
Yeah.
useless celebration.
How I usually end the year. When I was younger, like I said, I would do this end of year reflection where I go to my journal, then I write an end of year journal, and I would always end it with like, I will create like a theme of the year, and the theme would be something like, the theme is like something like, for example, I don't know, I can't remember, I haven't done that in a while. It's something like, for example, I say that 2007 is the year of beauty, because I see so many beauty in stuff. Or the year of kindness or gratitude, or
For me, I usually do. I have like an entry in
Yeah.
one of the diary that I'm writing
Yeah.
at that time.
Yeah.
Writing about like the things that
Yeah.
I've been doing the entire
Yeah.
year. I mean, I'm probably
Yeah, I
notice
have
I've
noticed,
been writing lately, because the thing is that I often forget to write in my diary, but then usually at the end of year. Last year was like the first in quite a few years that
you haven't done it.
I did not do it. I can't remember why, but it did not cross my mind at all.
Right.
Recently, when I was like, I need to write
Yeah.
this year's end of year, and I look back, the last one was the end of year of 2019. I was like, that's interesting. For an entire year, I did not
Yeah.
write in that diary. So that was something I included in the entry actually. So yeah, that's something that I do. So like first of the main reason why I did that to begin with was to like go through, in the first place, for me to go through what happened while having, like thinking of the things, because it's easier for you to think of the things that happened by telling the story. But if you were to tell your story, your entire year story, to someone, it will take quite some time. So that's why I have to tell it to, like, write it down to a book. So it's also good for like documenting it. So that way,
that's why I like to write them fresh, because I like exact memory.
I actually plan to like have a book where I like kind of like, because it's in a way it's like kind of like hard for me to keep up with, like, it is possible, but then because sometimes I want to write something long, and so I was thinking of having a book of like, let's say 100 pages or something, and I will just kind of like doodle a thing that happened, capturing something that happened that day. Right. And then write a description of it, so that I could keep things shorter, because I've been doing a lot of drawing lately, and I find that like it'll be interesting to capture
the day in a picture.
In a picture. But rather than just snapping a photo, draw it will be much fun.
But then, like, that was something I did when I was younger. When I'm older, I do not do that whole the theme of the year thing. But like,
I was going to continue that. Every year, usually I would have like a quote to match with the year. Either a quote from something that's a famous quote from someone, or a song, or even just something that I decided to write myself that year. That would be the quote for the year.
So I would have like a theme of the year, which I did. But and in finding the theme, I think I always write a quote. But that's just me. I'm a writer. So in finding the theme of the year, I would try to find like a positive. Like, I won't write the year of depression. I would always like look for a co-current theme.
Yeah.
Something that when I reflect throughout the year, I see this co-current theme of something, that I should be grateful of. That was something I did when I was younger. Why did I do it? It was just like cool tradition thing, kind of like just yay holiday, kind of. But then I would also do something environmental, like I would make a big recycling project. When you're younger, it's big, okay? Sometimes I repurpose a box into something. It's a big project, Like, I do cool stuff, but, it's some of the stuff I still use until now. Yeah, so, but I do this environmental thing. It's like a thing to commemorate the year, kind of. But then, now, I do not do the, like, I'd say like most of those things that we did were like superficial. Not that it's bad. If it's like good, like for example, if it motivated me to do some environmental related stuff, to repurpose stuff and stuff, that's positive for me, But then like the commemoration of it being end of year was like a bit superficial. But I still do now try to, journal the year, think back on the good things, Yeah, we should. Yeah, that's how, like, I mean, in the end, an ending of a year, the significance of the end of the year for me is just to mark how much you've done. Even in the sense of like a country, I feel like most of it is just an end point to note the progress.
Yes. The progress,
the amount of money you spend. It's just a date.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, you have to find a date anyway. So, you do it like by year. The cataloging process is easier. So, in the sense of like human beings,
you could do it 1 year in 1 day, but then that would be very weird, because you will have to make it 1 year and then start 2nd January, and then you will next year is 3rd January.
And then you would need to have this collective, like the century. So the collective, so it's just a very neat, and like with the progress of the sun. Yeah. There's so many things that aligns it to make it neat.
That's why calendars are a good invention.
Yeah. So, it's just to like kind of like neaten the things out. So similarly in years for us, I feel like, first of all, years cannot treat you anyhow. It's just what you treat the year, but it's not even like how you treat the year. It's just how you treat the life, the days.
Perhaps there are like some person treating you a certain way that year.
The year though.
That's what I'm saying. Perhaps that person is treating you that way in that year, but that won't be the year's fault.
Yeah.
A year is not sentient.
COVID has nothing to do with years.
Yeah.
So sometimes people are like 2019 is so mean because it brought COVID. you know. So, but yeah, cool. Yeah, that was the word I was looking for. Years are not sentient, you know. So it's just that these collection of days is good for you to group them to look at, you know, okay, what have you done throughout this year, you know?
I mean, you can't really blame. Well, I'm not sure why I'm thinking about shirts today, but you can't really blame your shirt because you had a bad day while wearing that shirt.
Some people do that.
Exactly.
So it's a bad shirt.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I in a way I sometimes
had
do
my
have
lucky
yes,
trousers.
I have like lucky.
But I don't have bad shirts.
Yes.
Oh wait. I do not have one, but I thought that me and our elder sister thought that our mother,
yes,
had a bad shirt.
I thought about that too. Yes.
It's
Somehow you just
I mean, there's always this thing called the confirmation bias.
yeah,
You know.
yeah. So this that light blue shirt.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I think we're thinking of the same shirt.
No. Oh yeah. Oh, our mother's shirt.
Yeah, our mother's
It wasn't like blue. It was blue. It's already grayish. It's just that it had blacks on it,
Right,
so
yeah.
the blue looked comparatively light.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So but yeah, so I think
Bad shirt, yeah.
Yeah, bad shirt. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you can't really blame the shirt for
Yeah.
for that bad day you're having or anything.
The hilarious part about my lucky trousers was that it was my school uniform. The trousers is like from my school uniform, and one day I tripped on it. Like, okay, here's a story. I have had this lucky trousers. I knew how to mark the lucky trousers. It had upside down pockets. It's a weird set of uniform. But anyway, so that trousers had always been my lucky trousers. It's like, but at the same time, with that trousers, I once tripped and fell and had a bad bruise, and the trousers was like torn, and there needs to be like, you know, stitches on it.
Oh, is that trousers?
Yeah,
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 I because
yeah.
I wore that after that.
Yeah, after I finished, you know, I grew out of it, and you wore it.
And I can't fit it anymore.
Yeah. So there were bad things that happened with the trousers. I didn't think of it as like a bad thing. In fact, I thought like this solidifies why
Yeah,
this trousers are my lucky trousers, because it has a stitch on it. You know,
Yeah.
it's often about the perception. Like in the bad, there's, you know, positive, because like there's no absolute good or absolute bad. So some people get frustrated with like the overemphasis on looking into silver linings. I feel like there's nothing wrong, you know?
It keeps you positive positive minded.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's nothing wrong with being
Yeah.
positive minded. There's literally nothing wrong. Like, yeah, there's nothing wrong, you know? There's nothing wrong.
nothing
I'm
wrong.
trying to find something, I'm trying to find something to go like, you know, okay, perhaps it's this, but why this? I cannot think of one.
I mean, the most thing that you could is the most that you could say is like you can, if you're too positive minded, you will be
Oblivious.
oblivious and apathetic.
Apathetic.
So perhaps, but then at the same
But is that positive?
Yeah. by
It
that
can
point,
be negative.
yeah, by that point it's probably negative.
Yeah.
The fact that you're not
Balance.
balanced.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you need balance for it to be positive.
Yep. Yep. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So I guess, you know, that's like the that's our reflection. That's our annual reflection. Well, it's not annual. We have, if we make it annual, then we have to
Inaugural.
make,
Yeah.
you know, then we'd have to make it. We do not know if we would make it an
Again.
annual event, but that is our 2021
Yeah.
reflection. And like our reflection on reflecting on the year. Yeah. So it would be cool to
Hear from
hear
you
from
as
you.
well.
And
how
like,
do you celebrate
the end of the year? and what do you think about, you know, being grateful and mindful and self-reflecting and gratitude and year
And what
reflecting?
else do you think that we should think of when, you know,
End of year.
ending the year?
Mhm.
And yeah.
Yeah.
So that would be nice to hear from you. You could leave us a comment.
You know,
or-
some people have very fancy tradition in year ending.
Yeah.
Because it's like to look forward for the next year. Yeah.
specifically in the cultures and
I mean, people in general.
yeah.
I mean, because in the end,
I mean, I usually
it's true that
I
there's lots
usually
of
have-
fancy
have, like-
traditions that's been left, but there's lots of new ones created.
like I mean, seeking simply mine. I usually have, like, you know, this last drink that I would drink at the end of the year,
Yeah.
and then a different drink to drink when the new year starts. You know,
Yeah.
the one that I did last year was the end of year. The last drink I drank was the Red Horse grape cordial juice. That was my favorite cordial juice. Yeah, so that was like the last
Yeah. Last drink.
drink that I had. So I'm not really sure what's the purpose of that. That's probably still just
I mean,
one of those.
we used to have fireworks
Oh yeah.
every year, and like technically,
No, not like we have
No,
them,
no,
but
like the country.
Yeah, the country.
Yeah. I mean, lots of countries have that.
Yeah,
When they
still
ring
have
in
that, yeah.
a new year, they have fireworks. What's the use of fireworks? It's light pollution, it's sound pollution, it's air pollution, it's cost.
I was about to add pollution.
Like,
Yeah,
it's superficial. But for some people, it's worth it. Then,
I do enjoy watching it though.
I appreciate the accuracy of creating a firework. But
Usually, I will watch it and enjoy it, and then regret the whole thing because you will see the smoke in the air,
yeah,
and then you start to think about the
I
whole
cannot-
consequences of
when
it.
I hear it, I'm like, when I was younger, I just love it.
Yeah.
I just appreciated the accuracy of creating that exact everything. The amount of gunpowder to create that exact shape, the amount to make it let off, explode at that exact height in the sky, all of that, the everything of it, to launch that firework, But then, as I grow older, when I hear it, I'm like, the environmental cost, so much environmental cost. That money that you spend, like environmental cost, not just as in like money, but just the product, the material to make it, and then like how the money that could have been spent on other things, and like I cannot appreciate the firework anymore.
That's why you should have virtual fireworks, like we had in Minecraft.
But yeah, so that's like, how do you celebrate New Year? And yeah.
It would be nice to hear from you, whether through the comments or through an audio message. And so I think
We hope to see you next year. Goodbye.
bye.